Welcome to Listen to Your Skin by Moon and Skin, the podcast where science meets nature to celebrate the story of your skin. Your skin is a living canvas, ever evolving, deeply personal, and uniquely yours. Each week, we'll dive into the science of healthy skin, share empowering stories, and uncover transformative self-care rituals. We're here to help you embrace every phase of your journey with confidence and care.
How often do I really need to wash my face?
So I really think that everyone needs to wash their face twice a day because at night, obviously, we want to get off our makeup and we want to get off the toxins and the dirt and the debris from the day. But a lot of people don't think they need to clean in the morning also, but we do need to cleanse with a gentle cleanser in the morning because our skin is our biggest detox organ. So at night when we're sleeping, we're basically extruding toxins and we're extruding dirt and debris out of our pores. So we want to get that off so our daily skincare can penetrate.
How about vitamin C? I hear a lot about people, saying that I need to have vitamin C. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. So vitamin C is just a core thing that pretty much everyone needs in their skincare regimen, and you want to make sure you're applying it to work with your circadian clock. So during the daytime, as soon as our eyes and our skin sees the light, we are in a protective mode. So our body basically is protecting us from any environmental toxins or allergens, and vitamin C will help with some of the free radicals that we're exposed to that get through our sunscreen even to prevent DNA breakdown, and it helps support the healthy structure of our collagen in the skin. So I want people to be applying vitamin C every morning, and you apply it face, neck, chest, and the back of your hands. I usually have people sweep the back of their hands with it after cleansing, first step in the morning, and then let it dry completely, then apply your moisturizer, then your sunscreen.
So I've bought vitamin C before, and then after a little bit, it turned brown. Is that normal, or can I prevent that?
Yeah, that's such a good point. I hear that so often. So I'm so glad you brought that up because typically, all vitamin C's are not created equal. So the active form of vitamin C is L-ascorbic acid. And the way it works, it's very unstable because it basically protects you from the free radicals. So L-ascorbic acid is very unstable. It is broken down by light, by heat, and by oxygen. So the longer it sits on your counter, the more it's likely to turn from the clear color when it's active to the brown color and become inactive. So scientists have created other forms of vitamin C that are more active. There's THD ascorbate and there's sodium ascorbyl phosphate. I preferentially like the sodium ascorbyl phosphate form of vitamin C because it converts to L-ascorbic acid in the body, making it effective by helping protect you from the free radical damage. And it also is great for anyone who's predisposed to getting acne from vitamin C, which I hear about a lot, or sensitive skin. So I love looking for a sodium ascorbyl phosphate form of vitamin C.
How about retin-A or retinol? What is the difference between the two, and when might I use that?
Yeah, so retinoids, as opposed to vitamin C, you want to use those at night. So as I mentioned with vitamin C, when we wake up in the morning and our eyes see sunlight and our skin also has photoreceptors, which are sensitive to light, we turn into a protective mode. And the opposite is true at night. So at night, when we don't have any light, which is why it's important to sleep in a dark room, the melatonin rises and we're in a regenerative phase. So there's such a thing as beauty sleep. So as our body is renewing and regenerating, our liver ticks up and our skin cells want to renew and regenerate. And vitamin A products, whether they're in the form of retinol or retinoic acid, tretinoin, which retinol converts into in the skin, they help with that renewal process. So tretinoin is a prescription that can be prescribed, and it's the active form of vitamin A in the skin. It also tends to be a little bit harsh on the skin and cause a little bit of peeling and redness. So I like people to start low and go slow and start with a retinol and gradually increase to every night. And if they could tolerate every night and they're still wanting more effects, then they can go to a prescription strength. But honestly, I find that if someone is able to tolerate retinol every single night as your first step after cleansing, before a moisturizer, they end up getting really good results in improvement of fine lines, wrinkles, pigmentation, reduction of the clogged pores and acne after about 3 to 6 months. So that's what I have people do.
Wow, I was just going to ask you about the timing. So how long does it take to really start to see results?
Yeah, so when we're talking about increasing collagen in the skin, we need to give it 3 months because we're sending signals to rev up the fibroblasts, which are the cells that produce collagen in the dermis. And it takes about 3 months, optimally 6 months to see results. So there's studies showing that if you use a lower strength retinol compared to a higher strength retinol, you get to the same endpoint at 6 months. You just get there a little bit quicker with a higher strength. But unfortunately, a lot of people have irritation. So that's where we want to look at the formula. What is the formulation? And there's some really cool technology. There's liposomal technology that we now have where the retinol is encapsulated by a phospholipid so it can penetrate through the epidermis into the deep layers of the epidermis and even the dermis to stimulate the fibroblasts without causing all of that peeling and redness and roughness that nobody likes. Because we recommend retinoids all the time, but what happens is people give up after a couple of weeks because they're red and they're raw. So it always goes back to the formulations. Things are not created equal.
Back to the vitamin C a little bit. You know, back when I bought vitamin C before, I broke out really bad. Is that normal?
Yeah, it's not normal. But really, what is normal, right? I mean, no one's normal. We're all our own person. So just because your best friend tolerates it and you don't, you need to listen to your skin, right? So we all need to listen and be attuned to our skin. And what works for your best friend might not work for you, just like what works for you might not work for me and vice versa. So for anyone who has sensitivities or anyone who is prone to getting acne, I want them to look at the formulation of their vitamin C and look for the form of vitamin C in being sodium ascorbyl phosphate. I know it's a long word, it's SAP, but you're going to want to avoid the forms that say L-ascorbic acid and look for sodium ascorbyl phosphate because that's going to be less inflammatory, less likely to cause acne.
So I'm perimenopausal. So my skin is obviously changing and I feel like my hormones are changing. Do you have any recommendations for how, I would work with all of these things in my system?
Yeah, for sure. And the word perimenopause is a word we weren't using many years ago. It's kind of everywhere now. And perimenopause is really hard to define. It's just the time of your life, which can be 10 to 15 years from 35 to 50, or even 40 to 55 until you reach menopause. Menopause has a bizarre definition. It's basically going a full year without having a period. But in the meantime, during those years, our hormones are up and down and fluctuating more than they normally would be during a normal menstrual cycle. So it's really important to listen to your skin and know when you're more predisposed to acne, when you're more oily, and modify things. Absolutely everyone needs a vitamin C and everyone needs a retinol. So vitamin C in the morning, retinol at night. If you tend to be more dry and more prone to irritation, I would make sure you have more moisturizer on your skin, particularly at night. And I'm such a minimalist. I want to look for moisturizers that have multiple functions. So why do I really need an eye cream and then a face moisturizer, then a neck moisturizer? When I can find one moisturizer that works for all of the areas, take the leftover on my hands and sweep the back of my hands every night. So all of those areas are being corrected equally, aging gracefully together, right? So that's what I look for. And then if someone is irritated with retinol, like just say before you were perimenopausal, you were tolerating your retinol every single night with no problem, and now you're noticing that you might have a little bit more of a barrier dysfunction and disruption and more irritation. I don't want you to give up on it. Maybe go every other night or do the sandwich technique where you apply moisturizer, let it soak in, quench your skin, apply your retinol as you always have. It will go where it needs to go on the receptors, let it dry, and then put another layer of moisturizer on. And I find that can really benefit a lot of people rather than just giving up on it.
Can I use the same moisturizer in the morning that I do at night?
Yeah, it depends on your skin type. So ideally you can. So I tend to be pretty oily, so I don't use a moisturizer in the morning. I use sunscreen in the morning after my vitamin C. And then if I'm dealing with pigmentation, I'll put a pigment corrector on after vitamin C before sunscreen. We always layer thinnest to thickest. So when you're applying products, you apply your thinnest serum, and then you go thicker as you apply, with your sunscreen being the last step before your makeup. And most people I find in the winter absolutely need to have a moisturizer twice a day because we're reaching homeostasis with our environment all of the time. So the air is drier and we're going to be drier because we are one with our environment, right? So I do recommend a moisturizer, the same one twice a day. If you tend to be more dry, I'll have you boost your moisturizer at night. Either go for a thicker moisturizer or have that be the only time of day you use your moisturizer, or take some mineral water from La Roche-Posay makes a nice mineral water spray, and these have prebiotics and probiotics in them, and spray your face, and then take a liberal amount of moisturizer and apply it, and it soaks in and pushes the moisture in your skin. And that's a way to boost it rather than putting something oily that could break you out at night.
Do I use the same cleanser in the morning and at night?
I do. Yeah, I do the same cleanser morning at night. Like, as I mentioned, I'm a minimalist, so I think, why have so many products when you can have one product do a lot of things? So I'll use the same moisturizer and recommend that for most of my patients, the same one in the morning and night. If they do wear a lot of makeup, then I'll have them do a double cleanse with an oil-based cleanser first, and then their more medical grade results driven moisturizer that might have some active botanicals in there. Then I'll have them use that afterwards, or I'll have them use micellar water first and then use their cleanser afterwards. And the cleansers I recommend, I like to be on the skin for 2 full minutes. So I'll have them apply it and massage their lymphatics and rub the cleanser in and let it penetrate and nourish the skin for a full 2 minutes. And we really want to use a good cleanser that removes makeup, removes impurities, removes dirt, anything that's extruded from the pores at night or during the day, and oils, but does not strip the skin. So we don't want a cleanser where your skin feels tight or raw or red or burning. It should never feel that way afterwards. It's too strong.
I have also younger daughters. How old should you be when you start adopting, vitamin C and retinol?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think 2024 was a year of overuse of products, and 2025 is going to be more minimalism. And it's for a good reason. We don't need to live in excess for any reasons. And we really saw that with the teens. We saw them doing so many steps, and I think it actually disrupts the skin barrier, it disrupts the skin microbiome, and it's not a good idea. So when you're in your teens, a good cleanser, a good moisturizer, and a good sunscreen is really all that is recommended. As someone goes into their 20s, that's when I start having them use a vitamin C as an amazing preventative measure. Absolutely 30s, 40s, 50s. And then retinol, same thing. Mid-20s is a great time, but teenagers, not so much. It's a little bit of a waste of your money.
And how about if you start breaking out? Is there a solution for that?
Yeah, so, retinol and tretinoin we use for acne. So it works for acne because it helps turn over the skin cells. So as we get older, our skin gets lazy, our stem cells get tired, and they don't turn over as quickly. So a lot of times people think they have dry skin, but what it is the skin is just not refreshing and turning over as quickly. So there's a couple things we can do with that. We can add exfoliants to help exfoliate off the top dead skin cell layer. And when you exfoliate the skin, it sends signals down to the stem cells to say, hey, rev up, make some more fresh skin. So we're kind of sending those signals that aren't happening. We can also use stem cells, and I love products that have vitamin C with stem cells in them, because that will help send those signals to rev up fresh stem cells while also protecting the skin from free radicals. So less products containing more technology is always what we're looking for.
You can put stem cells in your products?
From plants, yes.
Wow. Mm-hmm. How does that work?
Yeah, it works by signaling the human skin. And we used to think that plants didn't signal human stem cells, and they actually do.
Wow, that's incredible. Do you treat body acne the same way as you would treat face acne?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I always look for the cause. So what is the cause of the body acne? And is it folliculitis, irritation of the hair follicle, or is it actually acne? Typically on the body, what I usually see is friction, occlusion. So just say someone's an athlete and they're wearing non-breathable clothing and there's a lot of friction to a particular area. I'll see acne in those areas, like the back or the butt, butt knee or back knee, right? And the other reason I see acne on the back, when it's not someone who just has regular teenage acne, is from hair conditioner. I'll see certain types of hair products cause acne around the hairline and around the the upper back when they are rinsing their hair. So you have to ask people what their lifestyle is like. Are they going to hot yoga and sweating and then wearing their clothes for an hour afterwards? Or are they going home and showering off? Because if we sweat a lot and we rub and then we occlude or we block our sweat glands, we're going to get acne in those areas. So before I just start throwing medicine at someone, I want to find out what are their behaviors that might be contributing to forming the acne.
It's a little overwhelming thinking about all the different ingredients in the products. How do I really know that I'm getting a good vitamin C?
Yeah, I know. And over the years, I've seen so many people bring in buckets and bags of stuff to me, and they weren't being effective at all, and they wasted so much money. So this is how I break it down. With vitamin C, what you want to look for is you want to look for a formulation that contains sodium ascorbyl phosphate, especially if you're prone to acne or sensitive skin. If you can find something that has plant stem cells, you're going to get a twofer. So you're going to have one product in one step that stimulates stem cells and also helps protect you from free radical damage. And then find a product that has some hydrating capabilities like hyaluronic acid in it, especially plant-derived botanical hyaluronic acid is a very elegant formulation. And then what also makes the vitamin C stable and more potent is when it has ferulic acid and vitamin E added to it. So those are the things you want to look for.
With all of the ingredients, it's a little hard to keep track of. How do I know that I'm getting the right retinol?
Right, yeah. So I would always start with a retinol as opposed to a tretinoin or a prescription strength vitamin A product. And with retinol, there's some great technology out there. So I like people to look for a retinol that's a liposomal retinol. So basically, the retinol, the active molecule, is encapsulated in phospholipids. So it's able to penetrate through the epidermis and get to the deeper layers of the epidermis to rev up the stem cells and also into the fibroblasts to stimulate collagen from forming without causing irritation to the top layer of the skin. The other thing with retinol is I find that people apply too much to the skin. So a small amount, the size of a pea or a pearl, dot the forehead, each cheek, the chin, and the chest, and blend it in, avoiding the creases around the eyes, the nose, the corners of the mouth, and the crease in the neck. And doing that 3 times a week. After 2 weeks, if you're not having irritation or peeling or redness, which you really shouldn't see from liposomal retinol because it's encapsulated and it's slowly delivered over time and it's super stable. Just start slow, start low, go slow. And after 2 weeks, go to 4 times a week, another week, 5 times a week until you're able to tolerate it every night. We're in this for the long game, and you really see the best results with retinol at 6 months. So you want to stick with it.
So liposomal retinol is the one that I want?
Yep. Liposomal is a special technology where the retinol is encapsulated and it gets delivered to where it needs to be in the skin. And it's super stable. So you know what you're getting. You're getting it where it needs to go.
So for the first time ever, I found a moisturizer that has an exfoliator in it. What is that about?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So this is, I think, brilliant technology because a lot of times people are so dry and they're putting moisturizer on their skin. It's just not penetrating because as we get older, the top layer of our skin just like kind of sticks around, and that's what makes us look dull and dry. So by having very low levels of alpha hydroxy, beta hydroxy acid, like glycolic acid, salicylic acid, it will loosen up those corneocytes, the top layer of the skin that's dead, so that you can actually get infusion of the moisturizer, of the hyaluronic acid, of all of the hydrating properties of a product, as well as any botanical extracts like Centella asiatica or mushroom extract that can be lightening and brightening, things like that.
I was going to bring it back to the oily skin part because you said this is good for oily skin too, right? So I have oily skin and I don't always use moisturizer. Is this something that I can use also as a moisturizer that won't make me extra oily?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest myths is people who have oily skin think they don't need moisturizer. And at the very least, okay, just say you run a little high cortisol during the day like I do and you tend to get a little bit greasy. You may not necessarily need a moisturizer during the day, but at night, everyone needs a moisturizer because we lose a lot of water at night. We have increased transepidermal water loss and we lose a lot of moisture from our skin at night. And your skin can ironically compensate by making more oil if you don't hydrate at night. So absolutely, you want to look for a moisturizer containing hyaluronic acid that's lightweight and non-comedogenic if you have oily skin, something that's light and hydrating without being necessarily cream or oil-based.
Did you say that there's mushrooms in this moisturizer?
So I love nature. I think all the best secrets in the world are from nature. And as she lets us discover them slowly over time, we will find the properties. And reishi mushroom extract can be lightening and even out uneven skin tone.
Where does the name Moon and Skin come from?
Yeah, so Moon and Skin is basically encouraging all of us to work with the harmony and cycles of nature around us and within our body. So we have a circadian cycle, morning and night, our body's in different metabolic processes. So when we hit the light in the morning, we have our circadian clock turn on and we're in a different mode than at night when we're renewing. And then as women, we have our infradian cycle, which is our monthly cycle where our hormones evolve and they change every single day, unlike a man that's 24 hours. And we want to work with that cycle as well. And then we have the seasons. And with every season, our body's reaching homeostasis with those seasons. So we also want to learn to work with the rhythms of the seasons. And then we have the seasons of our life. So the seasons of our life, because what we need when we're teen is different from our 30s and 50s. So the skincare line will evolve with the seasons of our life and the seasons of where we live.
So I can use the same moisturizer in the morning and at night?
Yes, you can. And you can also use it around your eyes and your neck, your chest. And I always with every product, I recommend sweeping the back of your hands. We forget this and we want this to all age together, right? So yeah.
And this is a moisturizer that I at 40 can use and my daughter at 20?
Yes, you can.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes at 40, you need more of a booster. So at 20, she may only need it at night and you may need it twice a day. And then if you want to boost it more, you can spray your face with some prebiotic, probiotic mineral water like La Roche-Posay or Vichy, and then take a little bit more than she would and soak it in at night.
Would she use retinol as well at 20 years old?
It really depends. So I'm a minimalist. I don't like to put a lot on people's faces. So if somebody struggles with acne or blackheads in their 20s, we always use retinoids in the 20s. We use it in the form of Retin-A or tretinoin as a prescription strength, which can be really harsh and stripping on the skin. So retinol, absolutely recommend. I don't recommend it during pregnancy or breastfeeding because it does affect cell turnover. So theoretically, it can affect cell turnover in a baby. So it's not recommended during those times, but it's a very safe product that's been around since the 70s. And it's proven to help with fine lines and wrinkles, acne, plugged pores, lifting off pigmentation.
So Dr. J, you helped create this formulation of moisturizer?
I did. Yeah, so I really wanted to intentionally create a moisturizer that was good for all skin types. And one of the things that I think is often overlooked with a moisturizer is it might be a good quality moisturizer, yet it's not penetrating through the skin. So we needed to add a little bit of salicylic acid and glycolic acid at a very low level, nothing that's going to feel like a chemical peel or peel your skin, at a low level to loosen up the dead skin cells. So once the dead skin cells are loosened up and they're no longer insulating your skin from actually having penetration of the moisturizer, this hydrating moisturizer that's not comedogenic, not acne forming, can penetrate. So it's a really cool product. It has a lot of antioxidants like Centella asiatica, dandelion root, schisandra, green tea in it. And it also has a reishi mushroom extract that's really good for evening out skin tone.
So tell me, how did this partnership happen and what brought you to this point?
Yeah, so I'm at a point in my life where I only work with excellent people that have good intentions on making the world a better place. And I've helped create dozens of skincare lines before, and that wasn't always the case. A lot of times people just wanted to make money because the skincare industry is a really big industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I want to only align with people who want to educate people to become empowered to take care of their health. And that's where I found my current people, my family.
There's so many unique things about this moisturizer. Like we talked about it having exfoliators in it, and how can one moisturizer be made for multiple people, and why is that important?
Yeah, it's really important because you don't want to have a ton of things on your counter, and you want to minimize things. Also, I wanted something that people can use differently, right? So even if you have the same moisturizer as your daughter, she might use it once a day only at night, while you'll need to use it twice a day because you have more mature skin, or you need to use more. Or someone who has combination skin, they can avoid application to the center of their face and use it on the periphery of their face and their neck. So it has a lot of properties that has so many antioxidants that are just even more beneficial than only the moisturizing and the hydration abilities.
So you talked about Moon and Skin being special partners that really carried your same values. What does make Moon and Skin special?
Yeah, for me, I could speak for myself. For me, it's the intentionality behind everything. So I often ask myself, especially seeing tens of thousands of people over the years, when they come in and they share with me something that they're vulnerable about, I often ask myself, what's the why behind the why, right? And ultimately, it has to do with connection. And that's how I feel about everyone at Moon and Skin, is we're really into connection. We're really into collaboration and really educating and empowering people so that they not only understand the skincare and why it's important to nourish your skin from the outside in, but also how to take control over your own life so that you have the power to make the decisions that will bring you in a healthier direction for yourself and your family every single day. So it's an educational platform that also offers beautiful skincare from nature, working with the harmony and rhythm of nature.
I love it so much. How good does it feel to see the product in real life, actually in my hand, sitting with you right now?
It's really exciting because I do not have the creative capacity to create the packaging and all the bottling, and I'm really impressed with all of it. While I can recommend formulations and active ingredients that are science-backed, I really do need a team of chemists to put together these formulations in a way that's cosmetically elegant, because while the ingredients are active and there's science behind them, if they're not formulated well, they're not going to feel good on your skin. So I want to make sure there's no pilling and everything layers well together and people want to use it and it's cosmetically elegant.
You talked about the importance of having working with chemists and working with the natural earth on products. And there seems to be this dichotomy between working with natural products and working with, created products or manufactured products. And I love the fact that this sort of seems to blend the best of all the worlds, right? So can you tell me about that process and how did you bring that to life?
Yeah, so, people will say, oh, you can eat this product. Well, that's ridiculous because if you can eat something, it's going to have a shelf life of 2 or 3 or 4 days. So it's just not feasible. You do have to add preservatives. We have great options for clean preservatives. We have great options for combining things together. I am not an expert on chemically putting things together, but I'm certainly learning by working with some brilliant scientists on what they do to put things together. And every once in a while, I'll keep wanting to add other antioxidants and other things I'm excited about. Like Centella asiatica is also known as go-to cola. It's in all of our products. And it's really going to be the hottest ingredient in 2025 because there's some science behind it showing that it helps increase the collagen and the thickness of the dermis, which we lose over time. So starting in our mid-20s, we lose about 1% of our collagen every year. And then around menopause, it dramatically drops. And within 5 years after menopause, we lose 30% of our collagen. So anything we could do to replenish that is huge. And that's coming from nature. There's also studies showing Centella asiatica helping for stretch marks and replenishing the elastic tissue. So there's so many beautiful things about products that can be derived from nature. Now, we don't want to strip nature. We want to work with nature. And this is what I'm all about. But going back to the cosmetic chemist, I'll keep saying, how about we add this and this and this? And it gets to a point where they say, that's enough. We can't add any more. So, it's a constant collaboration.
Well, you guys have done a beautiful job because I am just seeing a lot of new, amazing things in here, like the stem cell, the vitamin C, the retinol, and the exfoliating in the moisturizer. It seems like it's all the things.
Yeah, and the thing that I really want people to understand is just because a label says it has something, it doesn't mean it's going to actively get to where it needs to go in the skin. So you want to make sure the technology is right. And that's why with the vitamin C, we have sodium ascorbyl phosphate, which is a stable form of vitamin C. And with the retinol, it's a liposomal retinol. So it's encapsulated, it's very stable, and it's slow delivery. So it's delivered over time to cause less irritation, and it penetrates better in the skin. So the technology matters. It's like when you get an energy drink, it might say it contains an ingredient and it's the smallest amount. It's not going to make a difference in your body. The same holds true with skincare. Is you want to look at the technology behind it, because that's what really matters. Is it going to get to where it needs to be in the skin? Is it going to do what it needs to do in the skin?
So tell me what's next for Moon and Skin. When can people get their hands on this?
Yeah, so we're hoping by end of March. Working with perfectionists here, so we're getting it in the hands as soon as possible. Everything has to be right.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Listen to Your Skin by Moon and Skin. It's an honor to be part of your skincare journey. And if you love this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave us a glowing review, and share it with someone who's passionate about their skincare journey. And please connect with us on social to ask your questions, which will drive future educational episodes.